our friend from Punchbowl News. And you've got to go to punchbowlnews.com to read Jake Sherman every morning because Punchbowl News is sort of the insider's guide to everything in the Beltway, and I'm normally in the Beltway. Good morning, Jake. How are you?
Hi, Hugh. How are you?
Great, but you did not admit to watching Oprah and Meghan and Harry in Punchbowl News this morning, so I got to put you on the spot.
That's not our. That's not, we stick to what we do. I did watch a little bit of it.
You did? Oh no!
I did.
Oh,
my
Jake.
My wife was very into it, and what she says, what she has on TV goes. I couldn't overrule her last night.
Well, look, you can all. I agree completely. You cannot wrest the remote from the hand of the spouse. That's a good rule for 39 years of marriage, I can tell you. But you can leave the room, and you chose not to.
I mean, I don't have many thoughts on this. It seems like it was a bad situation, which they have extricated themselves from. So I guess on that score, I'm happy. But beyond that, I don't have much of a view on Harry and Meghan.
Ask the fetching Mrs. Sherman what I asked the fetching Mrs. Hewitt last night, which is what value could you possibly get from this? And my wife said the only way out is to say something like, I wanted to watch Oprah at her craft, because Oprah is, I think, the second best interviewer in America, and she's been doing it for almost as long as I have, and she is pretty good at this. But nevertheless, it was still a train wreck. Let's go to what you wrote about this morning. I'm particularly interested in Manchin, but first let's talk about the relief bill. It was $1.9 trillion when it started out. Changes were made in the Senate. Is it still $1.9 trillion after the changes were made in the Senate?
Yes, they fit in. That's the framework they've had to fit it in, and that's where they've netted out, I believe. I haven't seen any estimates that would indicate otherwise. But listen, you got to give Biden credit. I thought it would end up closer to $1 trillion. So, and I just said this a couple minutes ago on TV. A couple more trillion, we'll be talking about real money here. But yes, that's where they've ended up, and that's it. We expect it to pass the House tomorrow.
Yeah, and by the way, they won't make any changes in it in the House. This is no drama. They're going to vote on it tomorrow. They can't make a change, or it has to go back to the Senate, right?
Yeah, and they are just going to have to swallow it. And I'm actually skeptical. I'm surprised, not skeptical. I was skeptical, and I now am surprised that they are going to be able to get this through by March 14th, which is the deadline they set for themselves. But here we are. I mean, it's you have to give them credit, at least if you don't like the policy, which I'm not even talking about the policy, but they got it in the time that they wanted, and I was very skeptical they'd be able to.
Jake, what's very interesting, I don't know if you've compared the Republican effort to repeal Obamacare, which was their first reconciliation bullet, or their second reconciliation bullet, which was the tax change, how long it took the Republican. I think it was significantly longer. I think that the Republicans farted around for a long time, and they didn't move quickly, and I was here saying, gosh, you got to move quickly. Go, 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 go. Democrats get that speed kills. Democrats get it, and Republicans don't.
I would agree with you on that, and I don't mind taking a position on tactics. I know Republicans with the tax cut bill. I think it was the summer that it went down finally, and on the Obamacare bill, the tax cut bill obviously passed for good. In the winter of 2017. I think it was December of 2017. So yeah, listen, they got this. There's a big difference here because the component parts of this bill. Of this relief bill were known, and most people have voted on these component parts, including Republicans, have voted on these component parts in the past. There were no surprises here. We knew the outlines of this bill. With a tax cut bill or an Obamacare bill, there was no unity on it. There was it's a lot more amorphous in the sense that there was a lot of other places you could go. Here, you knew what the core of this bill would be: direct payments, unemployment extension, state and local money. That was the core of this bill, and they never kind of strayed from that.
Now, Jake, what I think is interesting is I have had this argument for a long time that McConnell's very gifted. House leadership under Paul Ryan was more deliberative. There were more factions. The Democrats have demonstrated that it is possible now. When the Republicans come in 2024, as I expect, with both houses, as I expect, they will have a March 15th deadline, and they won't be able to say to their constituents, it's going to take us longer, blah, blah, blah. Like they did slow walk their reconciliation, and you get two bullets, you get two reconciliations. Now, when does the next reconciliation start? Bernie wants to attack the tax code, and they're going to have to attack the tax code in the second reconciliation. When does it start, Jake?
now. It needs to start now. I think it'll be some combination of, I'm going to lump a lot of information into this one answer, some combination of infrastructure and taxes. Manchin has said he will not support anything on reconciliation when it comes to infrastructure. That's a big deal if he sticks to it. And I will add just one more thing here, Hugh. Let's give conservative Republicans, some credit here. When they didn't like something, they stood up against it. They changed the unemployment insurance provision in here from $400 to $300 weekly, which doesn't seem like a big change, but man, that is the core of what they really wanted to attack in this bill, and they curbed it. So I just think that the fact that the progressive left is not standing up for that tells you a lot about their theory on tactics and strategy.
Well, the thing that is most interesting to me is the $300 per child per month provision, which is the most pro-life, pro-family, pro-child thing to have passed the United States Congress in history, indeed in any Congress in the world. And that which gets rewarded gets repeated. It's a very big boon to children and families. I'm all in favor of it, by the way, and it's only $100 billion. But I still haven't seen a breakdown of where the $1.9 trillion goes. $100 billion goes to kids. Show me the rest and tell me what it is. We're going to have some cylinders in here. Now I want to talk to you about Manchin.
I actually disagree with you, Hugh. I don't think you are. So I just was talking with somebody else about this on TV. I actually don't think you're going to have any cylinders in this. I think where the cylinders are going to come, if they come at all, is in the next reconciliation package.
Wait till you see where that $350 million for state and local government went. Wait until you see.
Possible.
That's where it's going to be.
There's a big bailout for multi-employer pensions, which is a big deal for the left and will anger a lot of people on the right and perhaps people not on the right.
Doesn't bother me if they're not public employee pensions. And I've read one place that they're not public employee pensions.
They're not. They're not.
Are you sure?
I'm not 100% sure, but the Times has a good breakdown on this morning, and I read that. It doesn't indicate that it is. But by the way, the left has been Democrats have been angling for this for a long time and have said they needed it. I think so. I'll take your point, and maybe there will be some boondoggles or things that are positioned as boondoggles. But that all said, this is the next bill where you're earmarking highway funding and all that stuff. That is where you're going to get some things that people are going to be able to use in campaign ads against you if it goes awry.
So what I'd love to see in Punch Bowl is an estimated calendar for the bullet number 2. Now I got to talk about Manchin. Manchin tried to set up a lie yesterday. He tested out a way out of his commitment not to break the filibuster. If he does anything to change the filibuster, I will understand it as a lie, and he will be a liar because he guaranteed the voters of Georgia he would not change the filibuster. Are you going to call him out on it, Jake?
We did. We spoke about it this morning. We wrote about it this morning. I didn't call him a liar.
No, he's not. He hasn't yet. He's talking about it.
But listen, what he's saying he's going to do, and what you're alluding to, and what you're saying is he wants to change the filibuster to a talking filibuster, which would mean you have to hold the floor for your if you want to oppose a bill. Right now, you just have to tell your leadership you're opposed to it, and 99%, or not 99%, a huge percent of legislation requires a 60-vote threshold, which is the filibuster. So listen, he signaled new openness here, very big for filibuster elimination advocates, not so big for people who are interested in the rights of the minority as traditionally defined by people in the Senate. So yes, this is a change in gear, and this is a shift for him.
I have admiration for Joe Manchin, but if he does that, he's a liar. Because he guaranteed the people of Georgia he would not do that. And I don't know if you got the exact quote, but he was very specific on Fox and everywhere else that he was against changing the filibuster. So if he changes it a little bit, that's just a lie. And we ought to be ready to call him a liar.
He might have said he was in the quotes that you're referring to, that he was not going to eliminate it. I think he would view this as not eliminating it, but rather changing it.
That's a lie. I mean, not you, but if he does that, he will be a liar. And does Kristen Sinema indicate any hedging on her commitment not to change the filibuster?
She hasn't said. She's very, not cagey, but she holds her cards close to her vest. But she frequently pairs up with Manchin. So I haven't heard her on this. And by the way, the biggest misnomer, not the biggest lie, but the biggest misnomer is that it's only Sinema and Manchin. There are progressives. There are people in the Senate who you would not imagine. I don't have them confirmed, so I won't say their names. But there are Democrats who don't want to get rid of the filibuster. So
they shouldn't. They shouldn't. The blue slip, the filibuster, The anti-majoritarian features of the Senate are not in the Constitution, but they are very valuable. And I know what Manchin said, and if he votes for any change, that will make him a liar. I hope he's not a liar. We'll find out. Jake Sherman of Punch